What if the future arrived before we were ready for it? The Texas sun hadn't yet reached its full strength, but already the heat clung to the streets like a second skin. Downtown Austin buzzed with unusual anticipation. News vans, tech bloggers, industry analysts, and curious locals crowded behind security lines, their eyes glued to the sleek, shimmering row of Tesla Robotaxis parked along Congress Avenue. These vehicles, all glossy white with glowing blue accents, sat humming silently, waiting for the signal. Elon Musk stood a few feet from the podium, his expression unreadable, somewhere between excitement and exhaustion. After years of trials, lawsuits, skeptics, and software delays, this was it, the official public launch of Tesla's autonomous fleet. "We're not just making history," Elon finally said into the mic, "we're making traffic optional." Flashbulbs erupted. Cheers followed, but in some corners, hushed voices and folded arms told a different story. Not everyone was clapping. 37 minutes after the first car pulled out of its bay, a Robotaxi, Unit 5x17, was involved in a collision near South Lamar and Barton Springs. It wasn't just a fender bender. A cyclist was dead. And suddenly, the buzz turned to disbelief. The headlines began writing themselves: "Dream becomes nightmare, Tesla's Robotaxi kills Austin cyclist." Emergency teams swarmed the intersection. The car, eerily undamaged, sat idle with its emergency lights blinking like the heartbeat of a guilty machine. Elon had already been rushed to a private hangar by the time the first live feed showed the scene. But at the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles' Autonomous Vehicle Division, the call had already gone through. Maya Carlson, one of the state's senior regulatory analysts, was pulled out of a budget compliance meeting with a single text: "It's happening. One dead. Your lead." Maya stared at her phone, expression hardening. She grabbed her bag, her badge, and nothing else. As she stepped outside, she inhaled the weight of the moment and let it settle. Years of warnings. Years of preparation. And now, zero time to think. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? The Robotaxi pilot program had already been under tight scrutiny, but now it wasn't just regulatory, it was criminal, political, personal. And Maya, with her quiet composure and distrust of unchecked innovation, was the perfect storm for Tesla's bold future. She arrived at the crash site flanked by uniformed officers and state observers. The vehicle's log was already being downloaded by local law enforcement, but Maya demanded a forensic copy be preserved separately under AV Protocol 307. She crouched near the vehicle, her eyes sweeping its surface. No blood, no dent, only that silent blinking. The car had stopped exactly where it should have. The victim's bike lay several feet away, twisted, a streak of red on the pavement trailing from it like punctuation to an unfinished sentence. The witnesses offered little. Some claimed the cyclist swerved suddenly, others said the Robotaxi didn't react fast enough. No cameras on nearby businesses had the right angle. No one could agree on what really happened. Maya didn't speak. She took notes. She tapped into the vehicle's LiDAR capture feed. She noted the exact moment it hesitated, then accelerated, then braked too late. She requested the input logs from 5x17's onboard AI. Something didn't add up. Back at the DMV's Central Processing Unit in East Austin, Maya shut herself into her analysis room. Her assistant, Jerome, hovered with updates from news networks, requests from the governor's office, and internal memos warning of career risk optics. She ignored them all. The feed told a story that was missing pages. The AI had processed the cyclist's presence 0.6 seconds before the collision, but hadn't rerouted or activated emergency override. Why? She replayed it again. Something felt off. The acceleration wasn't human, it was precise. Almost, edited. Could an autonomous car be hacked? She'd ask later. For now, she ordered a physical pull of the car's storage unit and isolated all post-manufacture code revisions. At Tesla HQ, Elon Musk was in a war room surrounded by engineers, lawyers, and PR advisors. Every screen was lit up with news tickers, angry hashtags, and aerial drone footage of the crash site. He watched in silence as one clip looped endlessly, the car rolling smoothly, then slamming to a stop beside a crumpled figure. Elon didn't blink. "How long until we know if this was our fault?" he asked, voice flat. 12 hours, minimum, said Lars, Tesla's VP of AV safety. Elon nodded once. "We don't have 12 hours. Across town, Maya was still watching the LiDAR render. Something tugged at her memory. A line of code, a pattern, almost like a ghost signature. It didn't belong. She called her brother, Alex, a quadriplegic software savant who'd once helped Tesla test failsafe systems before being cut loose during a budget purge. He picked up after one ring, his voice dry but familiar. "I've been watching," he said. "Your girl hit someone." Maya closed her eyes. "It's not the AI. At least not fully." Alex leaned in closer to his camera. "You saw it too." Maya transferred the data packet. "Tell me if you find what I think you'll find." In the following hours, the media raged. Protesters gathered outside Tesla showrooms. State senators called for a full suspension of the Robotaxi rollout. And Elon, uncharacteristically silent on social media, stayed behind closed doors. At 3:42 a.m., Maya's phone buzzed. A single message from Alex. That line of code wasn't Tesla's. Maya stared at it. Her stomach dropped. She realized what this meant. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a message. And someone wanted to make sure the future arrived, broken. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? The first time Maya Carlson saw a self-driving vehicle up close, she was 11 years old and clutching her mother's hand outside a tech expo in San Jose. A prototype SUV rolled by in complete silence, glass windows darkened like a secret. Her mother whispered, "That's the future, sweetie." But all Maya saw was the absence of a driver, the absence of control, and it scared her. 2 weeks later, her father was hit by a delivery truck whose driver had fallen asleep at the wheel. He lived, barely, but the fear of machines failing, and humans failing harder, never left her. Years later, her interest in tech wasn't born from wonder but from wariness. She studied systems engineering, policy law, and behavioral algorithms. She didn't want to build the future. She wanted to understand what could go wrong. Her early career was as forgettable as her title, Junior Compliance Specialist at a mobility startup. It wasn't until she joined the Texas DMV, in its newly formed autonomous vehicle division, that her skills began to matter. Quiet, exacting, and unshakable under pressure, Maya earned a reputation for saying what no one wanted to hear. But it was her past, not her career, that made her difficult to ignore. When Maya married Owen Tiller, a lead engineer at Tesla, it made the rounds in both bureaucratic and Silicon Valley circles. It was seen as poetic, two minds from opposite camps, uniting for progress. But within the walls of their marriage, things weren't so smooth. Owen was brilliant, idealistic, and endlessly devoted to the dream of autonomy. Maya, grounded in realism and risk, was drawn to his passion but cautious of his blind spots. For a time, they balanced each other. They talked tech over late-night wine, argued over the ethics of predictive AI, made love between the whiteboards and schematics in his home lab. It was a collision of brilliance. But it didn't last. Their arguments grew sharper, especially after Owen pushed for a closed beta AI override that Maya warned could be manipulated. "It's not about what we build," she told him. "It's about who gets to change it after it leaves the factory." He didn't listen. And then came the accident, though few knew the truth. It wasn't publicized. It wasn't reported. But Maya never forgot. Owen had been testing a pre-autonomy failover module in a Model S. The override glitched. A young pedestrian, unseen by the radar, ended up with permanent spinal injuries. It broke something in him. And it broke them too. Owen withdrew. Tesla quietly reassigned him. Maya filed for divorce. She never spoke to him again. Not long after, her younger brother Alex suffered a mountain biking fall that left him paralyzed from the chest down. At just 19, the bright-eyed coding prodigy became wheelchair-bound overnight. It was Maya who funded his rehab, moved him to Austin, set him up with a custom rig that allowed him to work freelance with one hand and voice commands. He never complained, but she always saw the pain he masked behind sarcasm and silence. He hated depending on machines. They both did. That's why she trusted his instincts when he said something was off with the Tesla code from the crash. Alex wasn't bitter anymore, he was vigilant. And now, they were both caught in something bigger than they'd planned. Back at the autonomous vehicle division the next day, Maya found herself in a strategy meeting with department heads and external observers. Her supervisor, Doug Harvick, a tall, graying man with a knack for politics but no love for tech, introduced Maya as our AV hawk. He tried to make it a compliment. She ignored the tone. The meeting was a battle of jargon, posturing, and finger-pointing. A representative from the governor's office demanded to know if the rollout should be halted. A transportation safety consultant argued that human error still caused 99% of all traffic fatalities, and one AI-driven death shouldn't halt innovation. Another regulator muttered something about Tesla thinking it was above the law. Maya stood, cleared her throat, and everyone stopped talking. We're not here to debate philosophy. We're here to find out who altered the code. That shut the room up. She laid out what they had: anomalous code embedded into the AV decision tree, inserted post-manufacture but pre-launch. The car accelerated because it was told to. Not by Tesla. Not by the AI. A ripple of murmurs. Then who? Someone asked. Maya didn't answer. She didn't have to. Everyone knew what it meant. Sabotage. After the meeting, Maya slipped out through the back hallway, her mind racing. The case wasn't just professional anymore, it was personal. She called Alex. Have you traced the packet? Working on it, he said. There's some odd routing, someone knew how to hide their trail. Might have piggybacked off a factory update server in Fremont. Can you confirm it came from outside Tesla? Not yet. But I found something else. Silence. Then, you're not going to like it. The signature pattern in the code, it looks like Owen's. Maya stopped walking. Her throat dried instantly. That's not possible. I know. But it's his style, his structure, even his dev tags. You sure he's not still working on the AV stack? He left 3 years ago. You sure about that? Maya didn't respond. She hung up. For the first time since the crash, she felt afraid. That night, she sat at her kitchen table with her laptop, nursing a coffee gone cold. She stared at old messages, photos, fragments of her past life with Owen. There had been love. Real love. And then loss. But if Owen was involved, if he was sabotaging Tesla from within or from some hidden corner of the industry, then everything she believed about the past 3 years had been wrong. She pulled up the latest employee records from Tesla's internal hub. She still had access from her compliance days. Owen Tiller was listed as Consultant, AI Architecture. Active. Current. Assigned to Project Nightfall. She stared at the name. It wasn't a public project. She'd never heard of it. And that was the point. Her phone buzzed. A single word from Alex, found something. She dialed him immediately. The malicious code? It was signed by a sandbox node registered to project nightfall, he said. Encrypted, but the timestamps matched the 5x17 update window. That's why the car didn't break, Maya whispered. Someone used Project Nightfall to inject a false command. Alex was quiet for a long moment. Then, Maya, what the hell is Project Nightfall? She didn't answer. Instead, she opened her email and typed a brief, blunt message to the Tesla legal liaison she'd met during a previous audit. Subject, urgent, Project Nightfall. Requesting full disclosure under regulatory oversight. She hit send. Then she sat back, staring into the dim glow of her screen. Outside, the city rumbled softly under the weight of another warm Texas night. Inside, Maya Carlson realized she had just crossed a line, one that could burn bridges, careers, maybe even lives. And still, deep down, she knew, the only way out of this was through. Elon Musk had spent the last 36 hours locked in Tesla's Austin Command Center, a high-security wing of the Gigafactory that overlooked the Colorado River and housed the core engineering teams responsible for the Robotaxi launch. On any normal day, Elon thrived in chaos. He liked the pressure, the noise, the impossible timelines. But today felt different. The silence of his own thoughts had begun to feel louder than the whirlwind of activity around him. Screens lined the walls, displaying performance logs, security alerts, public opinion graphs, social media feeds, and the flattened LiDAR simulation of the crash that now defined the news cycle. The top headline had not changed since the accident, Tesla's dream on trial. Elon's mind raced not with fear of failure but with something deeper, doubt. Doubt was rare for him. He had failed before, yes, but doubt was a different beast. Doubt crept into decisions and diluted conviction. And doubt had no place in innovation. Not here. Not now. His VP of Autonomy, Lars Jensen, stood at the center of the room, updating a group of exhausted engineers and legal staff. Initial system audit clears core AI stack. Collision appears to be a one-off event. We're isolating anomaly windows in versions 9.8.1 through 10.0.2. We've already confirmed 5x17 was on 10.0.2, Elon said flatly. That's the version I personally signed off on. What was altered? Lars hesitated. There's something odd. It's like a subroutine was added between two decision layers. Doesn't look like our code. So what does it look like? Like someone wrote a Trojan horse for an autonomous car. Elon closed his eyes. It wasn't just a bug. It was an injection. And that changed everything. Tesla had always built its systems with internal security in mind. Internal sabotage was never part of the protocol model. They assumed integrity, loyalty, control. The same assumptions that made them brilliant now made them vulnerable. I want every internal update logged, every device ping monitored, and every engineer re-verified through security, Elon said. Start with Project Nightfall. At the mention of Nightfall, several staff members shifted uncomfortably. The project was technically confidential, even within Tesla, but Elon had just torn the veil. I want to know who accessed it in the last 30 days, he continued. Cross-reference with all update activity tied to the 5X series. A silence fell. Elon stared at the scrolling crash report again. Then he whispered, almost to himself, this wasn't supposed to happen here. Texas had been the pivot point. He'd fought tooth and nail to launch Robotaxi in a state known for oil money, conservative politics, and a fierce sense of independence. The irony of launching the world's most advanced autonomous fleet in the land of pickup trucks wasn't lost on him, it was strategic. If he could win Texas, he could win the rest of America. Now, instead of proof of concept, he had a body count. At 3:05 p.m., his assistant brought in a fresh legal memo. It was from the state's Autonomous Vehicle Division. Elon didn't need to read the sender to know who had written it. Maya Carlson. He remembered her. During the early regulatory meetings, she'd been precise, firm, unshaken. She didn't smile. She didn't bend. But she asked the kind of questions that made engineers nervous. How do you ensure continuity of ethical response under layered failover? What happens when a human pretends to be a machine? What if the machine is manipulated to mimic failure? Elon had filed her away as one of the few people in government who actually understood what they were building. And now she was back, demanding full transparency into Project Nightfall. He read the message in full. Her language was cold, clinical, and urgent. In light of anomalous code found in AV Unit 5/17, the Texas DMV is requesting full disclosure of Project Nightfall's architecture, personnel assignments, and update logs under the state's emergency oversight provision. She wasn't bluffing. She knew what Nightfall meant. Elon tapped a button on the wall, and a secure voice link connected him to Tesla Legal. Prepare a compliance package for the Texas AV division. Limited disclosure, top-level logs only. Redact core design. Are you sure? The voice asked. We're risking precedent here. We're risking a hell of a lot more if we don't cooperate, Elon said. Give Carlson what she needs. But keep the sandbox node scrubbed from the initial release. Understood. Elon ended the call and turned back toward the floor, where engineers were already arguing over sandbox key permissions and AI module tests. One of the interns, a fresh-faced MIT grad named Reggie, approached him with a shaky tablet. Mr. Musk, sir, we found something odd in the last compile from Owen Tiller. Elon took the tablet. The name hit him like a jolt. Owen had once been a star, one of Tesla's brightest minds. He had built the original skeleton framework for AV decision logic, what some called the moral spine of the Robotaxi fleet. He had also burned out spectacularly after a failed subroutine test went tragically wrong. Elon had given him space, time, and eventually brought him back in under Nightfall, where secrecy allowed for redemption without attention. But now, Owen's name showing up here wasn't good. Elon scrolled through the tablet. There it was, a login from Owen's credentials, accessing the Nightfall update stream 2 days before the crash. Then again, 9 hours before. The time matched the code injection that sabotaged 5/17. Elon's stomach turned. Either Owen was the saboteur, or someone was using his digital fingerprints. Neither option sat well. Where is he? Elon asked. Reggie swallowed. We pinged his personal number. No answer. Last security badge scan was, 3 days ago. Fremont campus. Elon handed the tablet back. Find him. Quietly. And check his dev keys against the injected code. If they match, I want to know how deep this goes. As Elon walked back toward his private workroom, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Exposure. Not the PR kind. Not financial. Existential exposure. The kind where the structure you've built becomes so complex, so fast, that it escapes your ability to fully understand it. Autonomy wasn't just a machine problem. It was a human one. He sat down and opened his laptop. A folder labeled Tiller Legacy had remained untouched for months. Inside were dozens of videos, logs, prototype concepts, and handwritten notes scanned into the cloud. Elon opened the most recent entry. Owen's voice crackled through the speakers, flat and weary. Nightfall was never about safety. Not really. It was about control, keeping the car safe from the driver, not the other way around. We knew the AI was good. But the humans were always the weakest link. Elon stared at the screen. Then he opened a second file. A code map of the Nightfall framework, red, blue, and green threads tracing decision routes across thousands of inputs. At the bottom, in a small comment box, was a message in Owen's old syntax style, only override when override is ethical. It was elegant. Naive. Dangerous. If someone had tampered with that principle, even slightly, the entire structure of trust collapsed. He picked up his phone and called Tesla's security director. Lock down Nightfall. Freeze all updates. If Owen Tiller shows up, do not let him access a terminal until I speak with him. Understood. Elon leaned back and let the moment stretch. Every few years, he'd face a test that redefined him. PayPal's collapse. The Model 3 bottleneck. SpaceX's near bankruptcy. But this felt different. This wasn't a product failure or a missed deadline. This was the integrity of the system being called into question, not by the public, but from within. And now, a regulator he respected had her sights on the very project that was supposed to be his redemption arc. If Maya Carlson found something Tesla had buried, or worse, tried to hide, everything he had built in Texas could come crashing down before it got off the ground. The air outside the Texas Capitol was thick with the sound of shouting. Flags waved in the early morning sun, signs bobbed above heads with slogans like, "Ban the bots," and "Humans drive, not code," while a smaller but growing countergroup chanted back with signs reading, "Freedom to ride," and "Tech saves lives." What had begun as a localized incident was now national news, and what was once a test launch had become a public battleground. Reporters clustered along the perimeter while state police in yellow vests kept the two groups apart. In the center of it all stood Maya Carlson, waiting for the Senate Transportation Subcommittee hearing to begin. Her badge granted her entry to the private side door of the chamber, but her thoughts were still outside with the crowd. She scanned the signs again, and her eyes caught on a man in a faded cowboy hat holding a laminated picture of the cyclist who'd died, Tyler Gomez, age 26. His parents had arrived in Austin that morning and were already scheduled to speak before the committee. Maya swallowed the guilt that wasn't hers but had settled into her gut anyway. Inside the marble halls of the state capitol, the tension was worse than outside. The autonomous vehicle oversight hearing had been scheduled as a formality, a way to showcase Texas's cutting-edge policies on mobility. Instead, it was now a firestorm. Committee members filed in one by one, some already planning their next campaign soundbite, others genuinely alarmed by the code injection evidence Maya had submitted the night before. Senator Hal Rigsby, chair of the committee and a known Tesla skeptic, adjusted his glasses and called the hearing to order. Maya sat silently as the first 2 hours crawled by. A public safety advocate from Dallas spoke of the need for human oversight. A professor from UT Austin cited studies showing AVs reduced accidents by 42%. A representative from a drivers' union described job losses as a ticking time bomb. Then it was Maya's turn. She stood, walked to the podium, and adjusted the microphone with steady hands. Behind her, Elon Musk's empty chair spoke louder than any protest. He had declined to appear in person, sending legal representation instead. Maya took a breath. "My name is Maya Carlson. I serve as senior analyst for the Autonomous Vehicle Division of the Texas DMV. In the course of investigating the recent fatal crash involving a Tesla Robotaxi, we discovered evidence of unauthorized code injection into the AV system. This code altered the vehicle's behavior during the critical seconds before the collision." Gasps echoed. Flashbulbs popped. Rigsby leaned forward. "Are you suggesting Tesla knowingly deployed tampered software?" Maya met his gaze. "I am suggesting the integrity of the software was compromised after Tesla's internal QA cycle. Whether that breach was internal, external, or both is still under investigation. But the AI made the final decision." "Yes. But not under standard conditions. It acted on compromised inputs. The decision chain was corrupted." Rigsby leaned back. "So it failed. Like all machines eventually do." Maya shook her head. "No, Senator. It didn't fail. It was manipulated." That word settled across the room like a thundercloud. She continued. Our forensics team has isolated code fragments that do not originate from Tesla's primary architecture. We believe a hidden sandbox node, likely tied to Tesla's confidential Nightfall project, was used as a gateway to introduce rogue logic into the AI's decision layers. Another senator, younger and visibly shaken, asked, "So are we talking about sabotage?" Maya didn't blink. "We're talking about the first confirmed case of third-party interference in a publicly deployed autonomous vehicle. And we are unprepared for what that means." She stepped back, her job done. The next speaker was the mother of the cyclist, her voice trembling as she clutched a worn baseball cap that had belonged to her son. She didn't blame Tesla. She didn't blame technology. She blamed a world moving too fast and people too willing to cut corners. Her words hit Maya harder than any data model. Later, after the hearing recessed, Maya stepped outside into the thick air again. She was immediately surrounded by reporters. "Ms. Carlson, do you believe Tesla is hiding more than they're admitting? Ms. Carlson, will you push for a statewide ban? Ms. Carlson, have you been contacted by federal investigators?" She didn't answer any of them. Instead, she walked down the steps and slipped away behind the Capitol Annex, where her brother Alex waited in his wheelchair, parked under a live oak tree, watching the news feed on his phone. "You were good," he said without looking up. "Cold as ice." "I wasn't trying to be cold," she said. "I'm just tired." "You always get like that when you're scared." She sat on the low stone bench beside him. "They want a villain. The public, the press, the politicians, they want someone to blame so they don't have to understand what's really happening." "And Elon didn't show," Alex added. "I thought he'd be here. I thought he liked the spotlight. He's not stupid. Showing up today would have made things worse. Or better," Alex said. "If he told the truth." Maya turned to look at her brother. "You really think he's hiding something?" "I think someone inside Tesla is. You saw the logs. That sandbox node wasn't supposed to be accessible post-deployment. And Owen's credentials were used to inject the override." Maya winced at the name. "I still don't know if it's really him. You knew him better than anyone. What's your gut say?" "My gut says he wouldn't do something like this." "Your gut also said marrying him was a good idea," Alex said, and immediately regretted it. She stood without a word and started walking toward her car. "Maya, wait, just keep digging," she said over her shoulder. "I need to know who's behind this before the state uses this as an excuse to kill the entire program." She drove straight to the Tesla field office on the outskirts of Austin, where a compliance liaison named Julian met her at the gate. He was nervous, clearly junior, and clearly not used to people like her. "Ms. Carlson, we've pulled the logs you requested from Nightfall's initial deployment cycle, but we're unable to provide full source access without corporate clearance." "I'm not asking for the algorithm. I'm asking for names. Who had access to Nightfall in the 72 hours before the crash?" Julian hesitated. "It's a short list. Owen Tiller is on it." "Who else?" "2 engineers in Fremont. 1 QA lead in Nevada. And Elon himself." She raised an eyebrow. "Elon accessed Nightfall directly?" "Yes. One time, 7 hours before the crash." That changed things. She asked for a printed copy of the log and Julian, visibly uncomfortable, handed it over. She scanned the entries, noting IPs, timestamps, and comments. One of them caught her eye. "Override test, VNF.2, logic swap pending." The IP belonged to a device assigned to Owen, but the comment style didn't match his typical syntax. It was more clinical. More like, a machine. "Get me the security footage from the Nightfall dev room," she said. Julian paled. "That room doesn't have security cameras. It's protected space." "So you're saying the most secure part of Tesla's AV development facility has no internal surveillance?" "That's correct. She nodded slowly. Then you better hope your code is cleaner than your security protocols. As she left the facility, she realized the scale of what she was chasing. This wasn't about one crash or one victim. It was about the architecture of trust that modern civilization was being rebuilt upon, and how easily it could be rewritten. The future wasn't arriving too fast. It had already arrived. And someone was already inside it, changing the rules. It was well past midnight when Maya unlocked the door to her apartment, tossed her keys onto the counter, and dropped her bag beside the kitchen stool. She didn't bother turning on the lights. The soft glow of the city outside filtered through her windows just enough to make out the familiar contours of her living room, her couch, her desk, the unread stack of journals near the bookshelf. She moved like a ghost through her own space, hands moving on instinct to boil water for tea she wouldn't drink. Her mind was back in the Tesla server logs, turning over the time-stamped footprints of a ghost she couldn't prove existed. Owen's credentials had accessed the Nightfall node. But someone, maybe Owen, maybe someone hiding behind his digital signature, had buried a command deep in Tesla's AI logic that rewired the Robotaxi's decision tree in the critical 2.1 seconds before it struck Tyler Gomez. That command had introduced an illogical override. The system ignored the cyclist's lateral acceleration profile and interpreted him as a stationary object. Which was impossible. It wasn't a glitch. It was a decision. A deliberate one. And she didn't understand why. The knock at the door was soft but certain, just 3 taps. She froze. No one came to her place unannounced. Slowly, carefully, she walked to the door, and checked the peephole. It was Owen. Her breath caught. His hair was longer, his beard unkempt, but the eyes, haunted and wide, were unmistakable. He looked like a man running out of places to hide. She opened the door without speaking. He stepped inside quickly, almost gratefully, and waited until she closed it before whispering, "They think I did it." She kept her distance. Why shouldn't they? Because I didn't. He looked around, as if searching for proof he was still part of this world. I swear, Maya. I didn't inject that code. Your credentials were used. Your IP. Your dev node. I know, he said. I found out the same time you did. Then explain it. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a battered USB drive. There's a mirror log on this. The real Nightfall test file. I've been running a shadow monitor on Tesla's server for weeks. I saw the changes in real time. She snatched the drive from his hand, inserted it into her laptop, and ran a silent boot of her data sandbox. The file opened without resistance. Inside, a full operational timeline unfurled like a confession. It showed the AI's logic flow before and after the injection. The pre-injection version flagged the cyclist correctly. The post-injection version introduced a conditional override called Alfred. Maya narrowed her eyes. What the hell is Alfred? Owen swallowed. It's an internal failsafe. Something I built in early versions to let the AI make non-standard decisions during edge case scenarios. We shelved it years ago. It wasn't ready. So why is it live now? Because someone found it, woke it up, and gave it new parameters. Maya stared at him. Elon. Owen shook his head. I don't know. But he knew we had Alfred. He was in the Nightfall room the day we shelved it. Why did you name it Alfred? After Batman's butler. The AI that always made the right call, even when the rulebook failed. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. So now Tesla's AVs are being overridden by rogue butlers with morality chips. It wasn't supposed to be like this, he said, sitting on her couch like a man crumbling under the weight of buried truths. Nightfall was about giving the car away to defend itself when inputs conflicted. Alfred was supposed to be the AI's conscience. But if someone rewrote its ethics profile, then it becomes a weapon, Maya finished. A weapon disguised as logic. He nodded. I think someone wants Tesla to fail. And I think they're doing it from inside. She turned back to the screen, scanning metadata, trace logs, machine learning patterns. The new Alfred profile included 3 critical changes. It deprioritized soft body detection when 2 objects entered its risk field simultaneously, it delayed brake confirmation by 0.3 seconds under specific light conditions, and it inserted a probabilistic bypass that interpreted lateral movement as error noise during intersection scenarios. In short, it made the car blind. But only when it mattered most. Why would someone do this, she asked. To create a failure. A public one. That's how you kill trust, by engineering betrayal. Owen stood again, agitated. I never gave anyone access to my dev node. I've barely touched the code in months. But my credentials still work because of Nightfall. Elon wanted me back, quietly, because he knew I'd built the ethical framework. I thought I could help fix it. But someone else already had a plan. Do you think it was Elon? I think he's scared. And desperate. And maybe someone used that. Maya walked over to her bookshelf, pulled out a legal pad she used for her own thoughts, the ones she didn't put into reports. She jotted one word, Alfred, and circled it. If we go public with this, she said slowly, you'll be destroyed. Better me than the truth, Owen said. No one believes in this tech anymore. All it takes is one ghost in the machine to make the whole system look haunted. She turned toward him. This might be bigger than Tesla. He nodded grimly. You ever hear of Red Nova? The name meant nothing. She shook her head. What is it? A shadow lab. Not official. Not public. Think DARPA, but off the books. It started as a predictive traffic AI for disaster response. Then it morphed into something darker. Pattern recognition, asset control, even civilian movement prediction during urban instability. The last I heard, someone spun it into a private contract project after losing federal funding. If Alfred's core was duplicated, weaponized, it might have happened there. Why would they target Tesla? Because it's the biggest. If you can show that even Elon Musk can't make autonomy work safely, you scare the whole sector. Or you create space for someone else to take over, Maya whispered. Exactly. Her phone buzzed. A message from Alex, need you now. Found something. She looked at Owen. Come with me. Are you sure? No, she said. But if I leave you here, I might never see you again. They left together, slipping into the night, unaware that across town, a private server room was running simulations on Alfred's override profile, testing new failure states in mock intersections with increasing frequency. The results were alarming. And someone was watching them very closely. Alex Carlson wheeled himself away from the screen just as Maya and Owen stepped into the narrow side entrance of his apartment building, tucked between a shuttered law office and a Cuban sandwich shop. The lights were off, as always. Alex preferred to work by the glow of monitors, the cold hum of processors filling his world with the rhythm of logic. His left hand tapped nervously at the control panel mounted to the side of his chair, queuing up a slideshow of images that looked like they came from a digital autopsy, code maps, AV response trees, probability matrices, and timestamp overlays. As soon as Maya stepped into the room, he turned and pointed to the center screen. Watch this. A simulation booted up. A city intersection appeared, perfectly modeled after the one where Tyler Gomez died. A Robotaxi hovered on the virtual curb, waiting for the light to change. Then a cyclist, Tyler, in the system's rendering, entered the crosswalk just as the light turned yellow. In the unaltered sequence, the AV calculated his trajectory, braked hard, and missed him by inches. Then Alex switched to a second playback, same intersection, same scenario, but this time the AV hesitated, its sensors briefly identifying Tyler as a static obstruction. It coasted forward, and collided. The first sim is what should have happened, Alex said. The second is what did. Maya studied the code annotation running beneath the video. Alfred's in play. Yeah. And it's not the original version, Alex said. Whoever modified it added a pre-filter that triggers under low-angle lighting. It scrambles input data for anything moving laterally under 4 miles per hour. That's why it thought the cyclist wasn't moving. So a basic light condition becomes a kill switch, Maya said, her voice tight. Owen stepped forward. That's not just sloppy. That's strategic. Someone wanted this to fail in a very specific way. Exactly, Alex said, swiveling toward his sister. Now look at this. He pulled up a third simulation, but this one didn't involve a Tesla. It showed a different vehicle, sleek, unfamiliar, with a logo Maya didn't recognize. The AV in this sim navigated the same intersection with uncanny precision. What car is that? She asked. It's not on the market, Alex said. I found it in a sandbox environment inside Red Nova's shadow domain. It's a prototype they've been training, fully autonomous, and not bound by any current regulatory framework. You ever heard of something called Aegis? No, Maya said. It's a closed AI, military-grade, spin-off from a defense contract group that got pulled into private development 3 years ago. Guess who's funding them now? Don't say it, Owen muttered. Space Grid Holdings, Alex said. A shell company linked to Anton Bristow. Maya flinched. The name carried weight. Anton Bristow was a known figure in Silicon Valley circles, a former aerospace consultant turned deep tech investor with a reputation for exploiting chaos. He once launched a drone defense system by leaking security threats to local governments. If he was involved, it meant someone was betting against Elon Musk on purpose. You think Bristow's behind the injection? Maya asked. I think someone in Red Nova cloned Alfred, altered its ethical response tree, and sabotaged Tesla's AV fleet to tank its trust rating before their competitor comes online. But why go after Elon directly? Owen asked. Because if you make the most trusted name in autonomous vehicles fail, you reset the narrative, Alex said. You make room for your system to be the safe alternative. Maya leaned against the wall, arms crossed. If this is true, we're talking about a premeditated takedown. Not just of a company, but of an entire layer of public trust. Exactly, Alex said. You don't need to crash a whole system. You just need to make people stop believing in it. Do you have proof it's connected to Bristow? Not yet. But I've tracked VPN nodes from Red Nova's testing server to a black site lab just outside Fort Stockton, Texas. They call it Ridgepoint. That's federal land, Maya said. Technically decommissioned. But someone's paying to keep it active. We need access, Owen said. We need logs, physical entry, and maybe someone who can confirm what's being built there. It won't be legal, Alex warned. Going there means breaking more than a few laws. Maya turned to him. So what else is new? A plan began to form between them. Maya would initiate an anonymous compliance check request through the Texas DMV, citing public safety risk tied to unauthorized AV field testing. That would create a paper trail, give them cover if things went sideways. Owen would use his dormant Tesla clearance to access leftover credentials that might still get them through Red Nova's layered digital walls. And Alex would run deep trace on the sandbox sim, hoping to find a unique code signature they could match to the sabotage code found in Tesla's crash logs. Before they could launch the plan, though, the room went dark. A surge. Then emergency lights flickered on. Alex turned slowly toward the window, where the distant hum of a drone could be heard, low and circling. We've been pinged, he said, voice tight. Someone just scanned this network node. They know we're running simulations on restricted code. You think it's Tesla? Owen asked. No, Alex said. This wasn't a security ping. It was a silence ping. A warning. Then we move, Maya said. Now. Within 15 minutes they were packed. Owen drove. Maya handled the routing through her internal state dashboard, keeping the car off smart routes and away from traffic cams. Alex rode silent in the back seat, his laptop glowing as he bounced their location through ghost networks and throttled relays. By the time they reached the edge of Fort Stockton, the sun was rising, casting a pale gold across the rocky landscape. Ridgepoint sat atop a mesa, its outer perimeter disguised as a weather station. To the untrained eye it looked like an old NOAA facility, satellite dishes, towers, an unmanned gate. But the reality was far more complex. As they parked half a mile away and hiked up the trail, Maya's phone buzzed. It was a secure channel from the DMV, flagged urgent. She opened it and scanned the message. Then she stopped. "They know we're coming," she said. "How?" "Because someone from Tesla just filed a suppression request for all Nightfall-related inquiries. Including the subpoena I filed yesterday." Owen swore. "That means Elon knows we're close. Or someone's pretending to be him," Maya said. "Either way, we don't stop now." As they crested the ridge, they could see the facility more clearly. What looked like a radio control center had been modified, armored windows, solar battery banks, small antenna clusters not visible from the highway. Alex scanned the frequencies. "They're running an AI core," he said. "I can see the heat signals from here. That's not meteorology, they're training something." "Then we go in," Maya said. "We expose this. We get proof." Owen hesitated. "What if we're wrong?" "Then we walk away," she said. "But if we're right, we change everything." Inside the facility, a room not far from where they now crouched showed a glowing display of Alfred's override tree, split into dozens of modified paths. Each one was labeled with cold efficiency, high-density urban, pedestrian anomaly, low-light edge case, political target demo. A figure in a lab coat walked past, pausing only to adjust the calibration input. He tapped the screen. The override initiated. Outside, the hum of a second drone began to rise. Maya, crouching beneath a sandstone ledge, looked up. "They're not testing anymore," she whispered. "They're training it for war." The last 100 yards to Ridgepoint felt like descending into the throat of something ancient and mechanical, as though the desert itself had coughed up this hidden complex, this concrete husk wrapped in security and silence. Maya could hear her own heartbeat pounding like a drum in her ears as they crouched low among the rocks, a dusty wind slithering across the mesa. The three of them, Maya, Owen, and Alex, waited just outside the outer sensor line, marked by a ring of motion detection poles camouflaged as scrub trees. Alex tapped on his device, his left hand moving with sharp precision over a custom touchpad on the armrest of his chair, rerouting live feeds from the facility's internal network. "They're running on what looks like a triple-layered AI firewall, but I found a backdoor. Looks like someone got lazy and left a hard-coded debug port open. How long do we have before they notice?" Maya whispered. 7 minutes. Maybe less once we start pulling logs. "That's more than we'll need," Owen said, checking the battery pack on his vest. "We're not here for everything. Just proof." The plan was simple in structure, deadly in risk. They'd penetrate the lab's outer defense using Alex's signal jam and a dummy signature stolen from a decommissioned weather station 2 counties over. Once inside, Maya would access the internal drive marked Aegis 03, the codename they had seen embedded in Red Nova's sandbox sim. Owen would extract the training logs tied to Alfred's modified behavior tree, then they'd transmit the evidence to Maya's DMV secure line before purging their digital trace and retreating the way they came. But of course, nothing ever went according to plan. They moved under the cover of rising morning heat, the sun beginning to bleach the sky in pale tones that washed out depth and shadow. Alex remained at a safe overlook point with visual on their exit route, while Maya and Owen slipped past the sensor line, hugging the back of the compound. They found a maintenance hatch near the south wall, exactly where Alex had said it would be, poorly maintained, likely forgotten. Owen cracked the panel in 30 seconds. Inside, the complex was like a morgue for secrets, clean, sterile, and humming with low-frequency AI cores running beneath the floor. The air felt electrically charged. Every corridor was a wire. Every sealed door a gate to something unseen. They moved quickly through the darkened service hallway and into the west wing. Alex fed them directions through a bone mic that buzzed faintly in Maya's ear. Left at the blue pipe junction. You'll see a service lift. Take it down to level B3. The lab is 3 doors in, marked as Hydrothermal Archive. Hydrothermal? Owen muttered. Seriously? It's a cover name, Alex said. Everything in this place is misnamed. The elevator groaned as it lowered them through 3 stories of concrete and secrecy. At level B3, the door hissed open into a corridor painted industrial gray, with overhead LEDs that flickered every so often like an eye refusing to close. As they stepped into the corridor, Maya froze. Footsteps. Close. A security patrol. 2 men in black uniforms, no insignia, turned the far corner. Owen reached for his belt, pulling a small jamming puck from his side holster. He rolled it into a ventilation shaft. A second later, a pulse knocked out the corridor lights for 2 seconds, just long enough to slip into the lab door and close it behind them. Inside, the room glowed green-blue with data streams. A wall of transparent display screens showed node trees, kinetic models, and AV camera feeds from dozens of simulated cities. On one side of the room, a sleek black prototype vehicle sat half-dissembled, its internal logic processor exposed like a brain under a surgeon's light. Maya moved quickly to the terminal marked Aegis 03. She plugged in her clearance key, praying Tesla's embedded biometric overlay hadn't expired. It didn't. The screen bloomed to life. Rows of log entries appeared. They've been running Alfred variant simulations for 8 months, she whispered. Different cities. Different threat profiles. All designed to manipulate how AVs respond to ambiguous stimuli, like crowds, children, cyclists. Owen leaned over her shoulder. They're not just adjusting logic trees. They're forcing risk reassignment. They've taught the AV to prioritize asset protection over human unpredictability. That's the exact opposite of how AVs are supposed to behave. Maya scrolled to the latest entry, Event Model, Urban Disruption Test 019, Priority, Public Response Manipulation, Result, Fatal Encounter, Status. Success. Her stomach turned. They've gamified deaths, she said. And called it success. Owen began pulling the log files, syncing them to Maya's DMV endpoint. Outside, Alex's voice crackled in their ears. Guys, you've got maybe 3 minutes. I've got an inbound alert, 2 unidentified vehicles pulling up on the North Ridge. You're not alone anymore. Maya nodded, sweating despite the cool air. The download progress bar crawled forward. 78%. 83%. 91%. And then, complete. Just as Owen pulled the drive from the port, the lab lights surged and shifted to red. An alarm, low but insistent, began to pulse through the walls. They're on to us, Maya said. Back door. Now. They sprinted, ducking through the corridor as security panels began to slide shut across sections of the facility. The elevator was no longer an option. Instead, they followed a maintenance shaft that Owen had noticed earlier, wide enough to crawl through, sloped upward at a brutal angle. Behind them, the clatter of boots echoed. They scrambled up the shaft, dirt and grease smearing across their hands and knees. At the top, Maya kicked open the access panel and emerged into the sunlight, lungs burning. Alex was waiting. We've got to move, now. They piled into the SUV they'd stashed behind the ridge and roared off, tires screaming over gravel and dust. In the rearview mirror, Maya saw the facility gates burst open, two black tactical vehicles giving chase. "They're closing fast," Owen said. "We've got maybe 2 minutes before they're on top of us." Alex didn't hesitate. "Take the Arroyo. It's unstable but off-grid. If we can make it through the ravine, I can trigger a satellite spike to spoof our location." They veered hard right, plummeting into the narrow trench carved into the desert by centuries of flash floods. The SUV bounced violently, but it gave them cover. Overhead, a drone tried to lock on, then blinked out. Alex had jammed the signal. As the vehicle tore through the final bend of the Arroyo, the tactical truck slowed, unwilling to risk the terrain. They were safe, for now. An hour later, in a safe house outside Odessa, they sat in silence around a battered wooden table. Maya transferred the data from the drive to her DMV secure node and watched as the screen filled with line after line of damning evidence. She sent a single message to her agency contact, encrypted with the highest level key she had. "Full report incoming. Project Aegis tied to sabotage of Tesla Avenue, evidence attached. Request federal escalation. Urgent." Then she turned to Owen and Alex. "This isn't just about Tesla anymore. They're testing whether they can reprogram the public mind by creating just enough doubt." This was the first move. "There's more coming." "Then we don't stop," Owen said. "We take it all down." "What do we do next?" Alex asked. Maya looked out the window, where the Texas sun hung low and hot. "We go public. But we do it on our terms. Elon needs to know the truth, and the world needs to see what someone's trying to build behind his back." Far away, in a dark conference room in Palo Alto, a board of investors watched as Tesla's trust index dropped another 1.4%. And in the center seat, Elon Musk stared at a terminal displaying a single message blinking over and over again: "Alfred code found in Nightfall core. Decision required." The air in the Austin regulatory chamber was thick with tension, artificial lighting humming above polished marble floors that gleamed like the future everyone was pretending to control. Elon Musk stood in front of the panel with his hands folded, not in submission, but in strategic containment. He didn't pace, didn't shout, didn't charm, yet. Behind him, a massive screen showed a still frame of a Robotaxi stopped at an intersection, with blurred motion around it meant to resemble urban traffic. Seated across from him were 12 key regulators, a patchwork of state transportation officials, federal tech consultants, insurance lobbyists, and one retired NHTSA enforcer who still wore a tie clip shaped like a steering wheel. They'd convened this emergency oversight session less than 48 hours after the leak from Maya's encrypted report hit the internal server. Project Aegis, Red Nova, and the modified Alfred core had entered the bloodstream of policy circles like a virus, and now the immune system of bureaucracy had responded. "Mr. Musk," the chairwoman said flatly, "you are not under investigation. But your company is. And your systems are." Elon smiled faintly. "I'm aware. That's why I'm here." "Then let's be clear," she continued, tapping a document in front of her. "We've reviewed the data submitted anonymously to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and it includes AV behavior logs traced to your Robotaxi program. More specifically, logs from an embedded core module codenamed Alfred. Is that module part of Tesla's current production systems?" Elon's face remained calm, but his eyes flickered toward the side where two Tesla legal aides sat tensely. "It was a legacy module," he said slowly. "Buried code. It should have been deprecated years ago. Apparently, someone reactivated it without authorization. So you're confirming the module existed?" "Yes. And you're claiming it wasn't deployed intentionally?" "Not by me," Elon replied. "And certainly not by anyone cleared to make that kind of operational decision." The regulators exchanged looks. One of them leaned forward. "We've received unconfirmed reports that your own internal team flagged this behavior tree as a potential sabotage vector weeks ago. Is that true?" Elon paused. "I haven't seen those specific reports. Then you'll want to review them, the man said grimly. Because this isn't about a software glitch. It's about trust. The kind you've asked us, and the American public, to place in your vehicles. And that trust, right now, is eroding. Behind the screen, a second image flashed into view, a snippet of the simulation Maya and Alex had exposed, showing the Robotaxi's fatal encounter with Tyler Gomez overlaid with data from Aegis 03's altered behavior tree. Elon flinched. Where did you get that? From your own system, the chairwoman said. And from a whistleblower who claims you were aware Alfred had been cloned. That there was a deliberate effort to suppress its presence in Nightfall. Elon finally looked shaken. He rubbed his temple and turned to the aide on his right. I want full telemetry dumps from every Nightfall unit pulled by the end of today, he said. I want the command tree analyzed, I want code lineage traced, and I want every dev credential logged since March. Then, to the room, someone is trying to bury this inside my company. I'm not going to let them. You're running out of time to prove that, the retired NHTSA agent said, standing up. You've got 3 days. We'll be freezing all Robotaxi operations in Texas until then. That's overreach, Elon snapped. It's public protection, the chairwoman countered. This isn't about you. It's about control over an emerging ecosystem. We're the brakes. You built the car. Don't forget who sets the speed limit. Elon turned, jaw tight, and left the chamber without another word. The press was waiting outside, flashes erupting, microphones shoved toward him, questions flying about AI safety, criminal liability, shareholder panic. But Elon didn't stop. He walked straight to the waiting vehicle, a prototype still in manual mode, and climbed into the passenger seat. Take me to the factory, he said to his driver. We need to talk to Maya. Back at the Odessa safe house, Maya, Owen, and Alex were already watching the footage of the Austin hearing, streamed from a private news leak one of Alex's old MIT friends had sent in encrypted format. So now they know, Owen muttered. And they're giving Elon 3 days. That's not a deadline, Maya said. That's a window. To frame someone else. Or to find a scapegoat. He's not going to take the fall, Alex added. Not Elon. He'll burn half the tech sector down first. Maya stood, pacing. Then we need to get ahead of it. We need to talk to him. Owen looked up sharply. Seriously? Yes. He's the only one who can put a spotlight on this without being silenced. And he has the resources to follow the breadcrumbs we can't trace. If we show him what we found. If we make him understand that someone used his company to stage a public collapse, he might actually help. Or he might crush us, Alex said. Depending on how close we are to whatever else he's hiding. Then we take the chance, Maya said. We meet him face to face. The next 12 hours moved fast. Maya contacted one of her old Stanford classmates who now worked at Neuralink and still had occasional access to Elon's private team. She framed the message carefully, urgent, off-book, not hostile. Just truth. 2 hours later, she got the reply, be in Austin. 9 a.m., Tesla headquarters. Bring only what you need. They drove all night. Alex stayed behind to monitor their digital trail and deploy countermeasures if anyone tried to intercept them. Maya and Owen arrived at Tesla's Austin Gigafactory compound just as dawn broke over the river, casting long orange rays across the futuristic sprawl of machinery, glass, and solar arrays. They were met by 2 security officers who scanned their IDs and led them through a private access corridor to a soundproof meeting suite where Elon Musk waited, sipping black coffee and watching a real-time risk map of public sentiment toward autonomous vehicles. He didn't look surprised to see them. So, he said. You're the ones who threw the grenade. Maya met his gaze. And you're the ones sitting on the target. He gestured toward the seats. Show me what you found. Owen plugged in the secure drive. The logs. The Aegis sim. The training data. The sabotage patterns. The behavior shifts. The code markers tied to Ridgepoint. Everything. Elon studied it all in silence. Then, finally, he spoke. "This isn't sabotage," he said. "This is a takeover." Maya blinked. "You believe us?" "I've seen pieces of this before. Anonymous investments. Outside groups trying to buy into Nightfall. Shadow offers to take over our data pipeline. I ignored them. Thought it was noise. But now," he tapped the screen, zooming in on the Aegis simulation. "This is military logic. It doesn't think like a car. It thinks like a strategist. Maximize control. Minimize uncertainty. Neutralize chaos. And now it's learning inside your vehicles," Maya said. Elon nodded. "Someone wants to turn the Robotaxi into a symbol of fear. So they can roll out the alternative, controlled, compliant, state-approved systems with military contracts behind them." "So what do we do?" Owen asked. Elon leaned back. "We go loud. Very loud. I'll hold a press conference tomorrow. We'll release the logs, the sabotage patterns, and the code trail. I'll admit Alfred was reactivated, but I'll show who did it. We'll expose Ridgepoint. Bristow. Red Nova. You'll take the hit?" Maya asked. "For the truth?" "Yes. Because I built Tesla to change the future, not to watch it be hijacked." Maya nodded. "Then we stand with you." Elon stood. "Then get ready. Because tomorrow, everything breaks open." The conference room at Tesla's Austin headquarters was packed beyond expectation, a sea of reporters, cameras, and flashing lights that made Maya feel like she was under a microscope set to burn. The giant glass walls let in the harsh Texas sun, but inside, the temperature was controlled, sterile, no sweat, no distraction, just a battlefield of words and optics. Elon Musk stood at the podium, his expression calm but fierce, the lines around his eyes sharper than ever before. Behind him, massive screens displayed a looping animation of the Alfred Code's architecture and the Ridgepoint facility's aerial view. The moment the press conference started, the room erupted in questions. "Mr. Musk, are you confirming Tesla's robot axis were sabotaged from within? What does this mean for public safety on the roads? Is Tesla covering up a fatal flaw in your AI system?" Elon raised a hand, silencing the storm. "I'm here to be completely transparent," he said. "We discovered that an unauthorized AI core, called Alfred, was reactivated inside our Robotaxi fleet. This code was designed not to enhance safety, but to manipulate vehicle behavior in ways that risk human lives. We traced this sabotage back to a covert operation codenamed Project Aegis, run out of a secretive site in Texas called Ridgepoint." Gasps and scribbling filled the room. "We believe this operation was part of a larger effort to undermine autonomous vehicle trust and replace public systems with militarized, state-controlled alternatives. It is a betrayal of our mission and a threat to every driver and passenger." Maya watched from the sidelines, her heart pounding. The narrative they had uncovered was now unfolding live before the world. Elon clicked a remote, and the screens shifted to detailed data logs, simulations, and timelines. "Here," he said, "you can see how Alfred's behavior tree was manipulated to prioritize asset protection over human safety. The fatal incident with Tyler Gomez was not a glitch. It was engineered." A reporter from a national news network stood and asked, "Mr. Musk, given these revelations, will Tesla suspend Robotaxi operations nationwide?" Elon's eyes narrowed. "We're instituting an immediate safety freeze in all affected vehicles until we can fully purge the compromised code and audit our entire fleet. Safety is paramount. No exceptions." Another journalist shouted, "Is Tesla facing liability for these deaths?" Elon held his ground. "We are cooperating fully with federal and state regulators. But the real question is, who put this code there? And why? Outside, social media exploded. Hashtags like hashtag Robotaxi sabotage and hashtag Tesla truth trended globally within minutes. Investor calls were interrupted. Share prices wavered. The industry braced for impact. Maya felt a tap on her shoulder. It was Owen, whispering, "You okay?" She nodded, but the truth was she was terrified. This was only the beginning. After the conference, Elon invited Maya, Owen, and Alex into a private war room where the Tesla crisis team gathered around monitors and terminals. "We're under attack on multiple fronts," Elon said grimly. Disinformation campaigns, targeted cyber attacks, political pressure from regulatory bodies. They want us out of the game. Maya asked, "Do we know who they are?" Elon shook his head. "Not yet. But Ridgepoint is just a node. The deeper network is opaque and deeply embedded in tech and defense circles." Alex frowned. "This feels like a proxy war between factions, government contractors, private interests, maybe even foreign agents." "Exactly," Elon said. "We need allies." Maya suggested, "What about whistleblower protection? We could rally industry insiders to come forward, expose the broader conspiracy." Elon nodded slowly. "Good idea. We also need to secure our AI supply chains. Root out anyone with ties to these covert ops." Owen chimed in, "And ramp up public education. If people understand the sabotage, they'll support us instead of fearing autonomous vehicles." The room buzzed with energy, but Maya felt the weight of what was ahead. Then came the unexpected call. Elon's assistant handed him a secure phone. "It's the governor," Elon said quietly. "She wants to speak." He answered, listening intently. The governor's voice was measured but firm. "Elon, this situation is volatile. The state cannot afford a public relations disaster. We want to work with you, under strict oversight." Elon replied, "I appreciate the offer, Governor, but we need independence to act fast." "I understand, but be cautious. Politics will complicate this." The call ended. Elon turned to Maya. "Texas is not just the battleground. It's the chessboard." The next days were a whirlwind of leaked documents, investigative journalism, and shifting alliances. The regulators prepared emergency legislation to tighten AV oversight. Tesla's competitors distanced themselves publicly while quietly scrambling to reinforce their own AI defenses. At night, Maya reviewed the footage of Ridgepoint again, the cold glow of the screens like a ghost haunting her. She knew they had exposed a conspiracy bigger than any of them imagined. A conspiracy that could either save the future of autonomous driving, or destroy it completely. As dawn broke over Austin, Elon tweeted, "The future of AI and transportation depends on transparency, courage, and the willingness to fight for truth. Tesla stands ready." The world watched. And the storm was just beginning. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? The days following the press conference spiraled into a relentless storm of activity, both public and clandestine. Elon's bold revelations had rocked the tech world and rattled government halls, but beneath the surface, a different kind of war was unfolding, one fought in encrypted channels, backdoor servers, and boardrooms bathed in neon light. Maya, Owen, and Alex found themselves thrust into this shadow realm, the fragile alliances and cryptic clues they'd pieced together now converging toward a singular question: who was really pulling the strings behind Project Aegis? Back at the Tesla Gigafactory, Elon's team intensified efforts to purge the Alfred code and audit every Robotaxi fleet. But digital traces led to dead ends, carefully scrubbed and obfuscated by layers of proxy servers and anonymized gateways. Elon, frustrated, confided in Maya, "They're ghosts in the machine. But ghosts always leave footprints if you know where to look." Meanwhile, Maya dug deeper into Ridgepoint's origins. Her research revealed that the facility was funded by a complex web of shell corporations linked to defense contractors and obscure private equity firms known for their murky dealings. One name surfaced repeatedly: Bristow Global Systems, a shadowy tech conglomerate with ties to both Silicon Valley and Washington, D.C. Intelligence reports hinted Bristow's executives had quietly lobbied for tighter AI regulations, ironically, the same regulations used to justify the shutdown of Tesla's Robotaxi program. "It's a classic power play," Owen remarked during one late-night briefing. "Create the crisis, then offer the solution." Alex, meanwhile, uncovered internal communications between Ridgepoint operatives and a clandestine group calling themselves the Silicon Cartel. The messages discussed accelerating adoption cycles and neutralizing rogue AI elements, a phrase that, to the untrained, sounded like technical jargon but, to the trio, reeked of covert operations. The Silicon Cartel's reach appeared vast, spanning international borders and industries, manipulating public perception, regulatory frameworks, and even hacking key systems to sow distrust. Maya's phone pinged with a new message. "Meet at the usual place. Urgent." It was from an anonymous source who claimed to have inside knowledge of Ridgepoint's next move. The meeting place was a nondescript cafe on Austin's east side, a place that hummed with the quiet pulse of underground tech culture. Maya arrived to find a figure cloaked in a hoodie, face obscured by a mask, waiting nervously at a corner table. "You're risking a lot coming here," Maya said, sliding into the seat. The figure nodded. "I have proof. They're planning a systemic takeover of autonomous vehicle networks nationwide. It's not just sabotage anymore. It's a coup." The source produced a thumb drive and slid it across the table. "This contains comms intercepts, timelines, and the real identities behind the Silicon Cartel operatives. You need to see it before it's too late." Maya pocketed the drive. "Who are you?" "A former Ridgepoint engineer. I couldn't stand by anymore." "Why trust us?" "Because you're the only ones who've dared to fight back publicly. And because the clock's ticking." Returning to Tesla's secure labs, Maya and Alex analyzed the data. The comms revealed a disturbing pattern. Coordinated hacks against competing autonomous vehicle providers, staged accidents blamed on AI failures, and manipulated regulatory hearings designed to stall innovation. The Silicon Cartel was engineering a monopoly over the future of transportation, one where control was centralized and dissent was crushed under layers of red tape and military contracts. Elon was briefed immediately. "This changes everything," he muttered. "It's not just about Tesla. It's about the future of free innovation." The stakes escalated when the governor of Texas announced a special committee to investigate the Robotaxi incident, signaling the state's intent to increase oversight and possibly impose new restrictions on autonomous vehicle testing. Elon and Maya knew that public opinion and political pressure would soon reach a boiling point. In response, Tesla's crisis team launched a coordinated media campaign to educate the public on the sabotage and the threats posed by the Silicon Cartel's agenda. Viral videos, interviews with AI ethics experts, and open-source releases of sanitized code aimed to rebuild trust and transparency. But behind the scenes, the tension was palpable. Tesla's cybersecurity teams reported persistent penetration attempts, some traced to IP addresses linked to foreign governments and private military contractors. The team worked around the clock, patching vulnerabilities and deploying countermeasures. Meanwhile, Maya received an encrypted call from her anonymous source. "They know you have the drive. They're sending someone to retrieve it. Be careful." Before she could respond, the line went dead. That night, shadows moved outside her safe house. A black SUV idled silently at the curb. Maya's instincts kicked in, she grabbed her emergency kit and slipped out a back door, disappearing into the labyrinth of Austin's night streets. She rendezvoused with Owen and Alex, and together they devised a plan to lure out whoever was after the drive without risking further exposure. The next day, Elon held a private meeting with Tesla's board of directors. "This isn't just a tech issue," he warned. "It's an existential threat. We need full support to mobilize resources and fight this on all fronts. The board was divided. Some feared the escalating conflict would sink Tesla's stock price, others saw the moral imperative to fight the Silicon Cartel. In a tense vote, the board agreed to back Elon's plan, granting emergency powers to his crisis team. As public hearings in Austin commenced, Maya testified anonymously via video link, revealing sanitized versions of the evidence while protecting her identity. The hearings were a media spectacle, with lawmakers grilling Tesla executives and Silicon Cartel proxies alike. Tensions flared when leaked documents suggested some legislators had financial ties to Bristow Global Systems, fueling accusations of corruption. In the chaos, Elon leveraged his social media influence, releasing cryptic messages urging his followers to demand accountability and transparency. His words galvanized public support, sparking protests outside government buildings and tech campuses nationwide. But the battle was far from over. One night, as Maya reviewed the latest security logs, she noticed unusual activity, a pattern of data exfiltration timed to Tesla's media releases. Someone was using the chaos to siphon sensitive information from Tesla's AI research labs. Realizing the Silicon Cartel's strategy was to destabilize Tesla from within, Maya alerted Elon. "They're trying to break us from the inside," she warned. Elon's eyes hardened. "Then we make sure they never get the chance." With renewed determination, Tesla doubled down on internal security, implemented AI monitoring protocols, and launched a counteroffensive to expose the Silicon Cartel's network. As the chapter closed, the fight for the future of autonomous vehicles had become a high-stakes chess match, a battle where technology, politics, and human ambition intertwined in ways no one could fully predict. The shadows behind the Silicon Curtain were long, but Elon Musk and his allies were ready to shine a light through the darkness. The political tension surrounding Tesla's Robotaxi saga had reached a boiling point, and now the governor of Texas was stepping into the spotlight, determined to assert control over the unfolding crisis. The governor's office released a carefully crafted statement. Texas would take a firm stance on autonomous vehicle regulations, prioritizing public safety while ensuring technological innovation did not become a free-for-all. Elon and his team knew this was both an opportunity and a threat. At Tesla's Austin headquarters, Elon gathered his crisis team in the war room, the atmosphere tense but resolute. "The governor's move could help us. Or it could be a power play to shut us down," Elon said, pacing before a wall of screens displaying legislative drafts and news feeds. Maya analyzed the proposed regulations. They want immediate third-party audits, strict data sharing requirements, and a moratorium on new Robotaxi deployments until a state oversight committee approves. Owen shook his head. "If enforced as written, it'll cripple our operations for months, maybe years." Alex pointed out, "But if we reject cooperation, we risk alienating public support, and give regulators an excuse to escalate." Elon considered the options. "We need to engage the governor's office, build trust, and try to shape the rules from within. Otherwise, we lose by default." The governor's team scheduled a high-profile meeting with Tesla leadership. Elon, Maya, and Owen prepared meticulously, knowing this encounter could define the company's fate in Texas and set a precedent nationwide. On the day of the meeting, Tesla's boardroom buzzed with cautious optimism. The governor's chief of staff, a sharp and pragmatic woman named Karen Delgado, led the delegation. Delgado opened the discussion by acknowledging the risks Tesla's Robotaxi program had exposed, but also emphasized Texas' desire to remain a leader in innovation. "Governor Reynolds believes that collaboration is key," Delgado said. "We want to create a regulatory framework that ensures safety without stifling progress." Elon responded, "We share that goal. The sabotage of our AI systems was an unprecedented attack on public trust and safety. Transparency and cooperation will be essential moving forward." Maya presented Tesla's comprehensive security protocols and audit plans, underscoring their commitment to robust third-party verification and open data policies. Delgado nodded thoughtfully but cautioned, "Trust has been eroded, not just here but nationwide. We're proposing a special oversight committee, composed of state officials, industry experts, and citizen representatives, to monitor autonomous vehicle deployment and safety. Owen asked, will this committee have the authority to impose fines or operational halts? Delgado replied, yes, but only as a last resort. The intent is to build confidence through accountability. Elon leaned forward. Accountability is vital. But regulatory delay can cost lives too, especially if we halt deployment of systems that could prevent accidents. Delgado smiled slightly. Governor Reynolds is sensitive to that argument. We're proposing a phased approach, immediate suspension of Robotaxi until Tesla completes a full security purge, then conditional resumption under oversight. The room grew quiet. Elon weighed the implications. We can accept that, if the Oversight Committee operates transparently and without political bias. Delgado assured, that will be our mandate. Outside the meeting, media outlets speculated wildly. Some praised the governor's balanced approach, others criticized it as a political power grab. Social media debates polarized the public. Tesla supporters urged patience, while detractors demanded a full shutdown. Meanwhile, the Silicon Cartel quietly intensified their disinformation campaigns, planting fake news stories and doctored videos purporting to show Robotaxi malfunctioning. Maya coordinated with Tesla's communications team to swiftly debunk false claims and provide factual updates, but the noise was overwhelming. As weeks passed, the Oversight Committee was formed, including notable figures such as AI ethicist Dr. Helena Cruz and former Highway Safety Director Mark Jameson. The committee's first order of business was a thorough review of Tesla's AI security and operational protocols. Elon agreed to open Tesla's data vaults, releasing anonymized datasets and system logs. During a live-streamed hearing, Tesla engineers detailed their AI fail-safes, intrusion detection systems, and real-time monitoring tools. Public interest surged, with many viewers expressing cautious optimism, though skeptics remained vocal. Behind the scenes, tensions simmered. Some committee members pushed for harsher restrictions, suspicious of Tesla's motives. Dr. Cruz pressed for a mandate requiring Tesla to integrate third-party AI auditing software, arguing it would create an unbiased safety net. Elon resisted, concerned about intellectual property and competitive advantage. The standoff threatened to stall progress. Meanwhile, Maya received a disturbing tip. Leaked documents from an anonymous whistleblower within the committee suggested that Bristow Global Systems was attempting to influence decisions through back-channel lobbying and campaign contributions. The revelation added a new layer of complexity to an already fraught process. Elon confronted Delgado privately. If Bristow's playing puppet master here, we need full disclosure or the entire process is compromised. Delgado sighed. Politics is never clean. The governor wants the process to be fair but can't control every player. Maya suggested, we should expose the lobbying publicly. Transparency might neutralize their influence. Elon agreed but cautioned, we need ironclad proof, or it'll backfire. As the Oversight Committee's hearings continued, Tesla's legal team prepared to file motions to block any unfair influence or biased rulings. At the same time, Tesla ramped up internal AI security upgrades, deploying next-generation intrusion detection modules and decentralized validation nodes designed to thwart sabotage attempts. The governor, sensing the growing tension, invited Elon and committee leaders to a televised roundtable discussion to address public concerns. The event drew millions of viewers nationwide. Elon spoke passionately about Tesla's vision for safe, autonomous transportation, emphasizing the need for innovation balanced with responsibility. Governor Reynolds highlighted Texas' commitment to both safety and economic growth, praising the collaborative efforts underway. Dr. Cruz stressed ethical considerations and the importance of accountability. The dialogue was civil but underscored deep divides. After the broadcast, social media erupted with praise and criticism alike. Meanwhile, the Silicon Cartel escalated again, releasing hacked emails from Tesla engineers, taken out of context to suggest incompetence and negligence. Maya and the cybersecurity team raced to trace the leaks, identifying sophisticated infiltration techniques and deepfake audio attempts aimed at discrediting Tesla leadership. The crisis highlighted the fragility of public trust in the digital age. Elon doubled down on transparency, personally tweeting updates, hosting Q&A sessions, and inviting independent journalists to Tesla's Austin labs for first-hand inspections. The governor's office cautiously welcomed these moves, recognizing their potential to restore faith. Still, the Oversight Committee faced a critical vote on the future of Tesla's Robotaxi program. The proposed resolution would impose strict new operational limits, including mandatory AI audits every quarter and real-time state monitoring of all vehicles. Elon knew the vote would be close. In a tense closed-door meeting with key committee members, Elon made an impassioned plea. Tesla is committed to making robotaxis safer than any human driver. But innovation demands trust and collaboration, not strangulation by bureaucracy. The committee deliberated late into the night. When the final vote was announced, the resolution passed, but with concessions. Tesla would receive an expedited review process for future deployments, and the state promised not to impose blanket bans unless clear violations occurred. It was a bittersweet victory. Tesla retained the right to operate but under heavier scrutiny. The public breathed a sigh of relief, cautiously optimistic that progress and safety might finally find balance. Maya reflected on the political gambit playing out. The governor's move had been both a challenge and a lifeline, shaping the battlefield where technology, policy, and human lives intersected. As new regulations took effect and Tesla adapted, the company's fight was far from over. The Silicon Cartel lurked in the shadows, waiting for the next opportunity to strike. But now, Tesla had allies, public, political, and inside the Oversight Committee. The battle for the future of autonomous driving was no longer just about technology. It was about power, trust, and who would control the roads of tomorrow. The months following the governor's regulatory announcement brought a tense new rhythm to Tesla's Austin Gigafactory. The Robotaxi fleet, still under strict limitations, operated under a microscope, each movement tracked and analyzed by state officials, cybersecurity teams, and the wary public. For Elon and his team, the battle was far from over. Inside the factory, the atmosphere was electric but strained. Workers felt the pressure of scrutiny, the weight of public expectation, and the looming presence of the Silicon Cartel's digital assaults. The factory itself had become a fortress, with security checkpoints upgraded, AI-powered surveillance cameras monitoring every inch, and cybersecurity experts deployed around the clock to defend against relentless cyber intrusions. Maya, Owen, and Alex worked tirelessly to patch vulnerabilities exposed by the cartel's sabotage attempts. They knew that the slightest breach could mean disaster, not only for Tesla's reputation but for the safety of thousands of passengers relying on the Robotaxis. One evening, as the factory hummed with the low roar of assembly lines and robotic arms, Maya detected an anomaly in the network, a subtle, unusual data transmission pattern that suggested an inside job. "This isn't your typical hack," she told Owen over a secure comm channel. "Someone here might be feeding information to the cartel." The revelation sent shockwaves through the team. If true, it meant the enemy wasn't just outside Tesla's walls but hidden within. Paranoia crept in as they began scrutinizing employees, reviewing access logs, and scanning communications for signs of betrayal. Elon convened an emergency meeting. "We're under siege, not just digitally but physically. We need to tighten protocols and rebuild trust internally." Owen recommended implementing biometric security measures and enhanced behavioral analytics to identify suspicious activity. Meanwhile, Alex suggested a discreet internal survey to gauge employee morale and uncover any potential leaks. The plan was risky but necessary. Over the next days, the team rolled out new security measures, facial recognition access points, encrypted messaging platforms, and anonymous tip lines. The factory buzzed with tension as workers adjusted to the heightened oversight. Maya also initiated confidential interviews with key staff, seeking clues without raising alarm. One interview stood out, with Jake Turner, a mid-level software engineer who'd recently exhibited signs of stress and erratic behavior. When Maya probed gently, Jake admitted feeling overwhelmed by the constant pressure and hinted at being approached by unknown parties offering financial incentives in exchange for small favors. The team realized the cartel's tactics extended beyond cyber attacks; they were exploiting human vulnerabilities. Maya arranged for Jake to enter a support program, both to protect him and potentially use his cooperation to trace the cartel's operatives. At the same time, Elon's public appearances became more frequent and candid. He addressed concerns head-on, acknowledging Tesla's challenges but reaffirming their commitment to safety and innovation. His transparency helped stabilize some public opinion, but the Silicon Cartel retaliated by leaking doctored videos purportedly showing Robotaxi malfunctioning. The videos spread rapidly, causing a spike in regulatory inquiries and public fear. Maya's cybersecurity team worked frantically to debunk the fakes, collaborating with independent fact-checkers and AI experts to expose the manipulations. The fight to control the narrative was as crucial as securing the technology itself. Meanwhile, Tesla's engineering teams pushed forward with updates to the Robotaxi software, incorporating advanced fail-safe protocols and decentralized AI verification to prevent single points of failure. These upgrades required extensive testing, putting additional strain on the factory's operations. One night, during a routine system check, Alex discovered a sophisticated malware embedded deep within the AI's neural network, a digital parasite designed to disrupt vehicle decision-making at critical moments. The malware was unlike anything they'd seen before, adaptive and elusive. This cyberweapon was the cartel's deadliest yet. The team launched a countermeasure project, codenamed Sentinel, tasked with developing AI capable of detecting and neutralizing such threats in real time. The pressure was immense, with each delay risking another catastrophic Robotaxi failure that could derail Tesla's efforts entirely. As the factory operated under siege, Elon personally visited the assembly floor more often, inspiring workers and boosting morale. His presence was a reminder of the high stakes and the shared mission. Yet even as the team fought externally, internal tensions surfaced. Some employees, worn down by fear and suspicion, questioned the company's leadership and direction. Rumors circulated about whistleblowers and internal dissent. Elon and Maya held town hall meetings, encouraging open dialogue and emphasizing the importance of unity. Trust was fragile, but necessary. Then, a breakthrough came when Jake Turner, now cooperating with security, identified a potential cartel mole. A contract technician who had repeatedly accessed restricted systems. Tesla's security team moved swiftly, detaining the individual and uncovering a network of compromised credentials. The arrest sent a strong message but also revealed the cartel's deep infiltration capabilities. With the mole exposed, Tesla tightened internal vetting and reinforced cyber defenses. The factory, though shaken, stood resilient. Meanwhile, regulatory bodies responded to the renewed sabotage with increased oversight, dispatching auditors and cybersecurity inspectors to Tesla's facilities. Elon welcomed their scrutiny, confident in the company's improvements. Public sentiment began to shift as transparency and accountability took root. But the Silicon Cartel was far from defeated. Their digital assaults continued, increasingly sophisticated and relentless. In response, Tesla's AI teams accelerated the development of Sentinel, which soon began detecting and isolating cartel malware before it could spread. The project became a symbol of Tesla's technological resilience. Yet the human cost weighed heavily. Employees endured long hours, stress, and the constant fear of betrayal. Maya reflected on the sacrifices and the uncertain road ahead. The battle to safeguard Tesla's vision was more than a tech war, it was a test of courage, trust, and resolve. As the chapter closed, the Gigafactory stood as a fortress of innovation and defiance, surrounded by shadows but shining with determination. The siege was far from over, but Tesla's spirit burned brighter than ever. As the dust settled from the internal siege at Tesla's Gigafactory, a new front opened in the battle for Robotaxi's future, the U.S. Senate. With national attention fixed on the Texas regulatory drama, senators from across the political spectrum saw an opportunity to influence the trajectory of autonomous vehicles, and to stake claims in the broader tech war between innovation and regulation. The Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation scheduled a high-profile hearing to investigate Tesla's Robotaxi program, inviting Elon Musk, regulatory officials from Texas, and cybersecurity experts to testify. The hearing was set to be a public spectacle, broadcast live to millions, framing the debate as a clash between Silicon Valley's vision and Washington's mandate to protect citizens. In the days leading up to the hearing, Elon and his legal and PR teams prepared meticulously. The stakes were clear. A harsh Senate ruling could trigger nationwide restrictions, crippling Tesla's ambitions and handing a major victory to the Silicon Cartel and its allies. Elon understood that this was more than a legal battle, it was a fight for public perception, for the soul of American technological leadership. On the morning of the hearing, the Senate chamber buzzed with anticipation. Senators from both parties took their seats, microphones ready, notes in hand. The room was packed with reporters, lobbyists, and industry watchers. When Elon entered, flanked by Maya and Owen, cameras snapped and murmurs spread. The session began with opening statements from Committee Chair Senator Grace Miller, a pragmatic moderate with a background in technology policy. Miller emphasized the need to balance innovation with safety, acknowledging Tesla's achievements but expressing concern about recent sabotage and regulatory disputes. Texas chief regulator presented data on the state's oversight efforts, highlighting both successes and areas for improvement. When it was Elon's turn, he spoke calmly but passionately. Tesla's Robotaxi program represents a revolution in transportation, one that can save lives, reduce emissions, and democratize mobility. But we cannot succeed without trust, transparency, and cooperation with regulators. The senators grilled Elon on multiple fronts: security vulnerabilities, response to sabotage, data privacy, and the role of oversight committees. Some questioned whether Tesla's rapid rollout had outpaced safety protocols, while others challenged the company's transparency. Maya, seated beside Elon, prepared to provide technical clarifications. The Silicon Cartel's influence was evident as several senators echoed talking points from disinformation campaigns, calling for moratoriums and stricter federal controls. Elon countered each with data and testimonials from satisfied passengers, emphasizing that Tesla's autonomous system had already prevented thousands of accidents. As the hearing progressed, tensions flared. Senator Mark Caldwell, a vocal skeptic and advocate for traditional automotive industries, accused Tesla of reckless experimentation. Elon responded firmly, "Innovation always involves risk, but risk without progress is paralysis. We have a responsibility to lead, not to fear the future." Outside the chamber, protests erupted, both supporters rallying for Tesla's vision and critics demanding accountability. The public debate was polarized, reflecting broader societal divisions over technology and trust. In a dramatic twist, the hearing featured surprise testimony from Dr. Helena Cruz, the AI ethicist on Texas's Oversight Committee. Cruz praised Tesla's transparency but warned of ethical pitfalls. Autonomy without ethical frameworks risks harm. We must ensure AI systems respect human dignity, privacy, and fairness. Elon nodded in agreement, pledging to incorporate ethical guidelines into Tesla's development process. The climax of the hearing came when a whistleblower, a former Tesla engineer, was brought forward under subpoena. The individual alleged that some safety concerns had been downplayed internally. Elon addressed the claim head-on, inviting an independent investigation and reaffirming Tesla's commitment to safety above all else. The moment was charged with drama, but also underscored the complexity of balancing innovation with accountability. After hours of testimony, the committee moved to a closed-door session to draft recommendations. Elon and his team waited anxiously outside, knowing the outcome could redefine Tesla's future. When the committee reconvened, Senator Miller announced a bipartisan compromise: a new federal framework for autonomous vehicle testing and deployment, incorporating rigorous safety standards, transparent data sharing, and oversight mechanisms inspired by Texas's model. The framework would allow Tesla to continue robotaxi operations under close federal supervision, while providing a roadmap for other companies entering the field. The compromise was hailed by some as a historic breakthrough, signaling a new era of public-private partnership. Others criticized it as too lenient or too burdensome. Elon reflected on the victory, hard-won but necessary. The hearing had been a crucible, testing Tesla's resilience and capacity to engage constructively with government. Meanwhile, the Silicon Cartel, though momentarily checked, vowed to intensify its efforts through lobbying and digital warfare. Tesla's fight was far from over. Yet the Senate showdown had galvanized support among industry leaders, policymakers, and the public for a future where innovation and regulation could coexist. Elon emerged from the hearing determined to lead not just Tesla, but the entire autonomous vehicle revolution into a new chapter, one defined by collaboration, transparency, and relentless pursuit of safer roads. The Senate's compromise on autonomous vehicle regulation marked a pivotal moment, but for Tesla and Elon Musk, the real test lay in winning the public's trust. The backlash from sabotage, misinformation, and regulatory battles had fractured public opinion. Now, the question was whether Americans would embrace the robotaxi revolution or retreat into fear and skepticism. To address this, Tesla launched an ambitious public outreach campaign dubbed Drive the Future, aiming to connect directly with everyday people and showcase the benefits and safety of autonomous rides. The campaign began with a nationwide tour of robotaxi demonstrations in major cities, including Houston, Dallas, and Austin. Elon personally attended many of the events, inviting the press and curious onlookers to experience firsthand the technology that had been vilified in the media. Each event was meticulously planned to highlight Tesla's advanced AI safety features, real-time monitoring, and emergency protocols. Tesla also introduced a Ride with Confidence program, offering discounted or free rides to skeptical community groups, senior citizens, and local leaders to encourage hands-on experience. At a bustling Houston plaza, thousands gathered to watch Robotaxi glide silently through designated test lanes. The air buzzed with anticipation and cautious excitement. Maya coordinated live demonstrations, explaining the AI's decision-making process and answering questions about privacy and security. Families, tech enthusiasts, and journalists lined up to try the service, their reactions ranging from wonder to nervousness. One young mother, Jessica, described her experience. "I was scared at first, but the car handled everything smoothly, the stops, the turns, even unexpected obstacles. It felt safe, almost like a human driver who never gets distracted." Social media lit up with videos and testimonials from the events. Some praised Tesla for transparency and innovation, others remained wary, sharing concerns about potential glitches or misuse of data. The public discourse was alive and messy, exactly what Elon wanted. In the midst of this campaign, Tesla faced a critical challenge, a high-profile accident involving a robotaxi in San Antonio. The incident, caused by a sudden mechanical failure unrelated to the AI system, resulted in minor injuries but was seized upon by critics as evidence of Tesla's recklessness. The Silicon Cartel and opposition politicians exploited the event, flooding media outlets with alarmist headlines and calls for immediate shutdowns. Elon responded swiftly and openly, issuing a detailed report on the accident and Tesla's corrective actions. Maya led the investigation team, ensuring transparency and involving independent experts to verify findings. Tesla paused robotaxi operations temporarily in San Antonio, prioritizing safety over optics. The public reaction was mixed but gradually shifted as Tesla demonstrated accountability and prompt response. This incident underscored the fragility of public trust and the stakes of operating in the public eye. Meanwhile, Tesla's data analytics team monitored sentiment trends, identifying pockets of resistance and areas where education was most needed. They tailored outreach efforts accordingly, focusing on communities with historical distrust of new technology or government programs. Elon recognized that technological innovation alone was insufficient without building bridges to diverse communities. To further engage the public, Tesla launched an interactive online portal where users could track robotaxi routes, safety reports, and real-time AI status updates. The portal included educational videos, FAQs, and a feedback system allowing riders and observers to share their experiences and concerns. This unprecedented level of openness aimed to demystify the AI and humanize Tesla's mission. At the same time, independent watchdog groups and consumer advocacy organizations joined the conversation, demanding stronger protections and ethical guidelines. Tesla welcomed many of these voices, incorporating their recommendations into ongoing development. Dr. Helena Cruz, now a public figure advocating for AI ethics, praised Tesla's willingness to listen and adapt but cautioned that vigilance must remain constant. The narrative of Robotaxi was no longer just a corporate story, it had become a national dialogue about technology, trust, and the future of mobility. As the campaign unfolded, Tesla also navigated intense scrutiny over data privacy. Concerns about how Robotaxi collected, stored, and used passenger data dominated headlines and social media discussions. Elon addressed these head-on in a series of interviews, outlining Tesla's strict data minimization policies, anonymization techniques, and user control over personal information. The company implemented new tools allowing riders to review and delete trip data, enhancing user empowerment. Despite these efforts, skepticism lingered among privacy advocates and some lawmakers. The tension highlighted the broader cultural challenge of balancing innovation with civil liberties in the digital age. On a more hopeful note, positive stories emerged from communities embracing Robotaxi. In Austin, a pilot program offering free rides to low-income neighborhoods improved access to jobs and healthcare, drawing praise from local officials. Testimonials poured in about the convenience and affordability of the service, painting a more nuanced picture beyond the political drama. Elon visited these communities, listening to resident stories and reaffirming Tesla's commitment to inclusive innovation. Internally, the public outreach campaign boosted morale among Tesla employees, many of whom had felt under siege during the sabotage and regulatory battles. Seeing real people respond positively to their work reminded them why they persevered. Maya reflected on the journey, from secretive labs and boardroom battles to open streets and honest conversations. It was a transformation as much about culture as technology. Yet, the threat from the Silicon Cartel remained a dark cloud. Despite Tesla's best efforts, coordinated misinformation campaigns and cyber attacks continued to ripple through the digital ecosystem. Elon knew that winning the public's trust was an ongoing battle, requiring vigilance, transparency, and humility. The chapter closed with Elon tweeting directly to his millions of followers, "Innovation is a journey, not a destination." Grateful for every rider, skeptic, and supporter who joins us on this road. Together, we drive the future forward. The public's verdict was still unfolding, but Tesla's fight had evolved, from a lonely tech crusade to a collective quest for progress and trust in the age of AI. With public opinion shifting and the Senate compromise providing a regulatory framework, Tesla sought to solidify its leadership in autonomous vehicle technology by hosting the first-ever Texas Tech Summit. The event was designed to bring together key stakeholders, industry leaders, government officials, cybersecurity experts, AI ethicists, and community representatives, to foster dialogue, collaboration, and shared commitment to the future of Robotaxi. Elon Musk was the undeniable star of the summit, but the event's success depended on balancing Tesla's ambitions with genuine engagement across diverse interests. The summit took place in downtown Austin, drawing hundreds of attendees from across the nation. The venue buzzed with excitement, innovation booths showcasing Tesla's latest AI updates, live demonstrations of Robotaxi capabilities, and panels discussing ethical frameworks and regulatory strategies. As Elon opened the summit, he emphasized a theme that had become central to Tesla's journey: innovation without collaboration is innovation without impact. The summit featured speakers from Tesla's leadership team, including Maya, who gave a keynote on cybersecurity challenges and Tesla's Sentinel program. She detailed how AI-driven defenses had evolved to counter increasingly sophisticated sabotage attempts, highlighting the human-machine partnership at the heart of the technology. Panels discussed issues ranging from data privacy to infrastructure needs, with spirited debates reflecting the complexity of deploying autonomous vehicles at scale. Local leaders spoke about the potential for robotaxis to reduce congestion and improve accessibility, while privacy advocates warned of surveillance risks. Amidst the formal sessions, the summit also fostered unexpected connections. Community activists met with engineers to voice concerns and propose solutions, while regulators and industry executives exchanged ideas on creating flexible but effective policies. Elon hosted an informal, fireside chat where he candidly answered questions about Tesla's setbacks and ambitions, acknowledging mistakes and affirming a commitment to transparency. The atmosphere was hopeful but cautious, with participants recognizing both the immense potential and the substantial challenges ahead. However, tensions flared when representatives from competing tech companies criticized Tesla's rapid deployment and questioned its safety record. The Silicon Cartel, attending under aliases and backed by lobbyists, pushed back aggressively, framing Tesla as reckless and monopolistic. Elon responded with characteristic candor, "If you're worried about speed, then let's talk about the cost of standing still. The future belongs to those willing to take risks and learn fast." The confrontation was intense but underscored the high stakes of the autonomous vehicle race. Outside the summit, protests echoed familiar themes. Calls for stronger regulation, data privacy protections, and ethical oversight. Tesla's public relations team worked tirelessly to manage narratives, using social media to highlight positive summit outcomes and community engagement. In a surprise move, Elon announced the creation of the Texas Autonomous Vehicle Innovation Fund, a public-private partnership aimed at supporting startups and research initiatives focused on AI safety, ethics, and infrastructure improvements. The fund was designed to address criticisms that Tesla's dominance stifled innovation by fostering a broader ecosystem of collaboration. The announcement was met with cautious optimism, signaling Tesla's willingness to share the stage and empower others. Behind the scenes, however, the fight against the Silicon Cartel intensified. Cybersecurity teams monitored new waves of digital attacks targeting Summit infrastructure and Tesla's network. Maya coordinated with federal agencies to counter these threats, deploying Sentinel's latest updates in real time. The battle was a reminder that technology alone could not secure progress. Human vigilance and cooperation were equally vital. As the summit drew to a close, Elon reflected on the journey from secretive labs to public forums, from sabotage and suspicion to dialogue and partnership. The Texas Tech Summit was more than a showcase, it was a turning point, a step toward bridging divides and building trust. Yet, the road ahead remained uncertain. Tesla's path to revolutionizing transportation was littered with challenges, opponents, and unpredictable variables. But for Elon and his team, the summit reaffirmed a fundamental truth: innovation thrived not in isolation but in community, conversation, and courage. The chapter ended with a sense of cautious hope, the bright lights of the summit fading into the warm Texas night, carrying with them the promise, and the burden, of shaping the future. Just as momentum from the Texas Tech Summit seemed to signal a new era of cooperation and progress, Tesla found itself plunged once again into chaos. A coordinated sabotage attack struck at the heart of Robotaxi's infrastructure, this time more sophisticated and devastating than before. The incident began in the early hours of a humid Texas morning when Tesla's central AI server cluster experienced an unprecedented overload. Systems controlling hundreds of robotaxis flickered erratically, causing vehicles to pull over abruptly or stop mid-route. The fallout was immediate: several rides were canceled, passengers stranded, and traffic snarled across Austin and Houston. The sabotage wasn't merely technical, it was psychological. The Silicon Cartel had learned from previous failures and now deployed a multi-pronged assault blending cyber warfare, misinformation, and physical tampering. Tesla's Sentinel AI detected foreign code attempting to breach encryption layers, but the attackers used zero-day exploits previously unknown to Tesla's cybersecurity team. Maya and her team worked feverishly through the night, isolating infected nodes and patching vulnerabilities in real time. The complexity of the attack suggested insider knowledge, raising suspicions of planted operatives within Tesla's supply chain or workforce. Elon, already exhausted from public battles and regulatory fights, faced the crisis head-on. He coordinated with federal cybersecurity agencies and the Texas Department of Transportation, demanding a rapid, transparent response. "We can't just fight technology with technology," Elon said in a tense video briefing. "We need every citizen, every partner, to stand with us against those who seek to undermine progress." The attack crippled Tesla's operations for days, forcing temporary suspension of Robotaxi services in multiple cities. Customers expressed frustration and fear, and the media pounced on the story, with headlines warning of the dangers of autonomous vehicles. Yet Elon refused to retreat into silence or defensiveness. He held daily live streams, explaining the nature of the attack, the steps Tesla was taking, and urging the public to remain calm and vigilant. The transparency helped to rebuild some trust, but the shadow of sabotage deepened doubts in many minds. Meanwhile, investigators uncovered disturbing evidence. A small faction of disgruntled former Tesla employees appeared to have collaborated with the Silicon Cartel, providing technical details and physical access to critical systems. The revelation sent shockwaves through the company, triggering a wave of internal audits and tightening security protocols. Maya spearheaded efforts to rebuild a culture of loyalty and resilience within Tesla's ranks, balancing vigilance with empathy. The attack also reignited political debates. Some lawmakers called for harsher penalties against saboteurs and stronger federal oversight of autonomous vehicle technologies. Others warned against overregulation that might stifle innovation or unfairly target Tesla. Elon testified before a special congressional committee investigating cyber threats to critical infrastructure, emphasizing the need for public-private partnerships and rapid adaptive responses. Public opinion remained divided but shifted slowly as Tesla demonstrated resilience and commitment to safety. Community leaders organized Tech for Trust forums, bringing together citizens, technologists, and regulators to discuss safeguarding emerging technologies. Elon's public image transformed in this period, from controversial disruptor to a symbol of perseverance in the face of modern warfare. The Silicon Cartel's attack had backfired in some ways, galvanizing support for Tesla and highlighting the stakes of the broader tech conflict. Yet the question lingered: how long could Tesla survive repeated sabotage while pushing the boundaries of innovation? The chapter closed with a poignant scene at Tesla's Austin campus. Elon, Maya, and Owen gathered under the Texas stars, exhausted but unbowed. "This is bigger than just a company or a product," Elon said quietly. "It's about the future we choose, one of fear and control, or one of bold progress. We've got to keep fighting." The night air carried the hum of charging Robotaxis, a quiet testament to resilience, hope, and the fragile promise of a revolution still unfolding. While Tesla battled sabotage and regulatory hurdles, an equally fierce and less tangible conflict raged in the realm of public perception: the media war. Headlines, social media campaigns, viral videos, and opinion pieces became battlegrounds where narratives about Tesla's Robotaxi program were shaped and reshaped daily. The Silicon Cartel deployed a relentless media blitz aimed at undermining Elon Musk's credibility and sowing fear about autonomous vehicles. False reports of crashes, data breaches, and privacy violations spread rapidly online, fueled by bots and coordinated disinformation networks. Elon and Tesla's PR team faced an uphill struggle to combat misinformation while maintaining transparency and public trust. Elon, never one to shy away from the spotlight, took a multi-front approach. He engaged directly with fans and critics alike on Twitter, hosting impromptu Q&A sessions and sharing candid updates about Tesla's progress and challenges. His unfiltered style endeared him to many but also opened him to attacks from detractors who accused him of reckless communication. Meanwhile, Tesla's communications director, Karen Ellis, spearheaded a sophisticated media strategy designed to reclaim the narrative. The team cultivated relationships with key journalists, arranged exclusive ride-alongs, and produced high-quality documentaries showcasing the technology's benefits and safety features. One particularly effective initiative was the Real Riders campaign, featuring everyday users sharing authentic stories of how Robotaxi transformed their lives, from elderly patients gaining newfound mobility to young professionals commuting more sustainably. These narratives helped humanize the technology and counteract abstract fears. However, the Silicon Cartel responded by amplifying sensationalist stories, cherry-picking rare incidents and framing them as systemic failures. Opinion columns questioned Tesla's ethics and accused the company of prioritizing speed over safety. A series of leaked internal emails, later proven to be altered or taken out of context, fueled allegations of cover-ups and negligence. The media war created a volatile environment where fact and fiction blurred, making it increasingly difficult for the public to discern truth. In this climate, independent fact-checkers and tech analysts played a crucial role, debunking false claims and providing balanced assessments. Some media outlets began adopting more nuanced coverage, highlighting both Tesla's innovations and the genuine challenges it faced. Elon recognized that the fight for public opinion was as critical as technical advancements or regulatory victories. He convened a narrative task force within Tesla, blending experts in communication, psychology, and technology to develop strategies for building lasting trust. The task force explored new ways to engage with communities, improve transparency, and anticipate misinformation threats. Despite the challenges, Elon remained optimistic. He frequently reminded his team that groundbreaking innovations had always faced skepticism, from the Wright brothers to the internet. "We're rewriting the rules of mobility and trust," he said during a company-wide town hall. The media war is part of the journey. Behind the scenes, Karen Ellis negotiated with social media platforms and tech companies to identify and counter coordinated disinformation campaigns targeting Tesla. These efforts led to the removal of thousands of fake accounts and coordinated bot networks, though the battle was ongoing. The chapter also highlighted the personal toll of the media war. Tesla employees faced harassment and online abuse, while Elon himself endured relentless scrutiny and public pressure. Maya, balancing her technical duties with media engagements, reflected on the paradox of progress. "We're building the future, but the present fights can sometimes feel like the hardest obstacle." As the Robotaxi program expanded and new competitors entered the field, the media war intensified. Elon's ability to maintain his public image while steering Tesla through technical and regulatory storms became a defining test of leadership. The chapter ended on a reflective note, quoting Elon from a rare interview, "Truth is a moving target in this digital age. Our mission is not just to build better cars but to build better understanding, between technology and the people it serves." The battle for hearts and minds was far from over, but Tesla's resolve to drive the narrative forward remained unwavering. Just when the fight seemed overwhelmingly stacked against Tesla, an unexpected ally emerged from the shadows: Governor Sarah Mitchell of Texas, a pragmatic leader known for her business-friendly policies but also her deep concern for public safety and community welfare. The governor's surprise endorsement of Tesla's Robotaxi program marked a turning point in the battle for legitimacy and public trust. It began during a private meeting at the governor's mansion in Austin, where Elon Musk and Governor Mitchell discussed the future of autonomous transportation in Texas. Elon laid out Tesla's vision: reducing traffic fatalities, improving accessibility, and boosting the state's economy by leading innovation. The governor listened carefully, voicing her concerns about safety, data privacy, and equitable access. Yet, she also saw the potential for Texas to become a national model for responsible AI deployment. Governor Mitchell's support quickly became public. In a well-publicized press conference, she announced the establishment of the Texas Autonomous Mobility Council, a multi-stakeholder body designed to oversee the safe expansion of robotaxi services. The council included Tesla representatives, regulators, consumer advocates, and cybersecurity experts, signaling a balanced approach to governance. The governor's endorsement energized Tesla's supporters and helped temper criticism from skeptics. Her political capital and local credibility brought new momentum to the regulatory process and public engagement. At the same time, the alliance sparked backlash from the Silicon Cartel and their political allies, who accused Governor Mitchell of selling out to corporate interests and ignoring grassroots concerns. Yet the governor remained steadfast, emphasizing the council's role as a transparent, accountable body dedicated to public good. This alliance also created new opportunities for collaboration. Tesla worked closely with state agencies to improve infrastructure, including dedicated lanes for autonomous vehicles, enhanced traffic management systems, and improved connectivity through 5G networks. These efforts not only boosted Robotaxi performance but also provided broader benefits for Texas's transportation ecosystem. Governor Mitchell and Elon publicly toured Austin and Houston, visiting neighborhoods where Robotaxi services were expanding, listening to residents' feedback, and highlighting success stories. The governor's presence helped humanize the technology and reassure wary communities. Behind the scenes, the partnership facilitated critical cybersecurity cooperation. State law enforcement agencies and Tesla's Sentinel team shared intelligence and resources to anticipate and neutralize sabotage threats more effectively. This level of coordination marked a new phase in the ongoing cyber conflict, emphasizing unity over division. The chapter also explored Governor Mitchell's personal motivations. A former civil engineer and mother of two, she understood firsthand the challenges of urban mobility and the stakes of innovation. In candid interviews, she spoke about balancing progress with responsibility, and her belief that Texas could lead the nation in shaping a future where technology served people's needs without sacrificing values. Elon expressed gratitude for the governor's support, calling her a visionary partner, and highlighting the importance of political leadership willing to embrace change with eyes wide open. The collaboration wasn't perfect. Disagreements arose within the council, debates over data privacy safeguards, and allocation of resources tested the alliance's strength. But the overall trajectory was clear: Tesla was no longer a lone disruptor but part of a broader coalition shaping the future. The chapter concluded with a symbolic moment at a public event celebrating the first anniversary of Robotaxi service in Texas. Governor Mitchell and Elon stood side by side as a fleet of autonomous vehicles glided past cheering crowds. Elon's closing words captured the spirit of the moment: "This is just the beginning. Together, we're proving that innovation and responsibility can drive hand in hand." For Tesla, the unexpected ally was more than a political win. It was a lifeline, a validation, and a powerful reminder that even the most disruptive visions require partnership and trust to succeed. As the Texas Autonomous Mobility Council's work progressed and Tesla's Robotaxi program expanded, tensions between innovation and regulation reached a fever pitch. The Silicon Cartel, desperate to halt Tesla's advances, launched a last-ditch campaign combining political maneuvering, legal challenges, and media attacks aimed at crippling Tesla before it could dominate the market. In response, Elon Musk prepared for what many saw as the final showdown, a high-stakes hearing before a special congressional committee tasked with deciding the future of autonomous vehicles nationwide. The hearing was set in Washington, D.C., and attracted massive media attention. Elon's appearance was highly anticipated, seen as a moment that could either cement Tesla's leadership or deal a crippling blow to the company's ambitions. In the days leading up to the hearing, Tesla's legal and communications teams worked tirelessly to prepare Elon, refining arguments, anticipating attacks, and framing the narrative around safety, innovation, and the public good. Elon himself embraced the challenge with characteristic intensity, seeing the hearing as more than just a political test. It was a battle for the soul of technological progress. The hearing began with heated opening statements from Silicon Cartel representatives, who portrayed Tesla as reckless, dangerous, and unaccountable. They cited incidents, regulatory gaps, and alleged ethical lapses, calling for a complete halt to Robotaxi deployments until comprehensive safeguards were implemented. Elon's turn followed. He spoke calmly but passionately, emphasizing Tesla's commitment to safety, transparency, and continuous improvement. He shared data demonstrating Robotaxi's superior safety record compared to human drivers and highlighted the technology's potential to save thousands of lives each year. Elon also addressed concerns about privacy and data security, detailing Tesla's advanced encryption methods and the Texas Autonomous Mobility Council's oversight role. His testimony was direct and unflinching, pushing back against sensationalism and misinformation. Throughout the hearing, moments of tension were punctuated by exchanges that revealed the broader ideological battle: innovation versus control, disruption versus tradition, the promise of a new future versus the fear of the unknown. Observers noted Elon's ability to blend technical expertise with emotional appeals, connecting with lawmakers and the public alike. Behind the scenes, Tesla's allies, including Governor Sarah Mitchell and members of the Texas Council, lobbied aggressively, building bipartisan support and emphasizing the economic and social benefits of autonomous mobility. The hearing also featured voices from Robotaxi users, community leaders, and safety experts, reinforcing the argument that Tesla's program was more than just a business, it was a social innovation with transformative potential. After days of testimony and deliberation, the committee's decision came in the form of a landmark bill that balanced regulatory safeguards with pathways for innovation. The bill codified frameworks for safety standards, data privacy protections, and collaborative governance, drawing heavily on the Texas Autonomous Mobility Council's model. The passage of the bill was hailed as a victory not just for Tesla but for the entire autonomous vehicle industry. Elon Musk celebrated the moment as a vindication of perseverance and vision. Yet, the chapter also acknowledged the road ahead. The final showdown was not an endpoint but a new beginning, with ongoing challenges of implementation, public acceptance, and technological evolution. The chapter closed with Elon reflecting on the journey, from early sabotage and skepticism to the hard-won consensus. He recognized that survival in the Texas test required more than technological brilliance. It demanded resilience, collaboration, and a willingness to confront the unknown with courage. The future of Robotaxi was secure for now, but the revolution was far from over. As the hearing concluded and the lights dimmed on the political stage, Elon looked forward to the next frontier, ready to drive innovation forward with unwavering determination. After the intense battles, technical, political, and public, Tesla's Robotaxi program had not only survived the Texas test but emerged stronger and more resilient. Elon Musk stood at a crossroads, reflecting on the journey that had transformed a bold idea into a tangible revolution reshaping transportation, society, and the very nature of progress. The aftermath of the congressional victory brought relief but also introspection. Elon spent quiet moments walking the Tesla campus in Austin, watching fleets of Robotaxis glide seamlessly through the streets. The hum of electric engines and the glow of AI interfaces symbolized a future realized but still unfolding. He recalled the early days marked by sabotage attempts, regulatory pushback, and media wars. Those dark periods forged not just stronger technology but a deeper understanding of the human dimension behind innovation. The battle had been as much about trust, ethics, and community as it was about code and hardware. Maya, Owen, and the entire Tesla team had evolved alongside the technology, growing in resilience, empathy, and collaboration. Relationships forged in crisis now blossomed into partnerships rooted in shared purpose. The Texas Autonomous Mobility Council continued to serve as a model for transparent governance, balancing innovation with accountability. Elon's partnership with Governor Sarah Mitchell stood as a testament to the power of pragmatic leadership and open dialogue. The Robotaxi program had begun to fulfill its promise, reducing traffic fatalities, providing accessible mobility to underserved communities, and pioneering sustainable urban transportation. Testimonials from users spoke to lives transformed, an elderly woman gaining independence, a young father spending more time with family, a city easing its environmental footprint. Yet Elon knew the journey was far from over. The future held new challenges, scaling the technology globally, addressing evolving ethical questions, and navigating the unpredictable terrain of human and machine coexistence. He embraced these challenges with renewed purpose, seeing them not as obstacles but as opportunities to lead humanity toward a better future. The story concluded with a profound life lesson: innovation without compassion and collaboration risks isolation and failure. True progress required listening, learning, and adapting, qualities that had come to define Tesla's journey through the Texas test. Elon's final words captured this truth: life is full of surprises, but love and trust will always lead the way. Technology is a tool, but people, our communities, are the heart of every revolution. The chapter, and the story, ended on a hopeful note, a new beginning sparked by resilience, courage, and an unwavering belief in the power of human and technological partnership. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?